This is a lot of stuff. We have a lot of brewers in the coffee industry. There are so many tools available to make your coffee. I think that's a good thing. It can be overwhelming. I think choices are good. It helps if you're a little bit of an informed consumer. Let's try to make sense of this table here. You don't want to have my collection. This is just a small part of it. I've got boxes of all kinds of things, and some are a little more strange than others. We've done the vacuum pot. That was a pretty fun one. Josh did the balance siphon. That was a fun one. Our sock brewer. That's a little, I mean, it's unusual, but it's, the ideas are simple. So let's start making sense of this hot mess I have here. Gonna turn that camera a little tiny bit. There we go. Can't lean too far over my counter. All right. The first thing I want to do when I'm coaching somebody or talking a friend through which brewer to buy is I want to find out what type of coffee they like to drink, meaning do they prefer something very small and concentrated, more like an espresso, or do they want to have a larger sipping cup of coffee? Like me, I'm a nice mug of black coffee kind of guy. I'll drink that all day. Do they like to have a lot of texture and body in their coffee? Do they like it to be clean and smooth, a little more watery possibly? Do they really hate the grit left after a French press, or is that something that they actually kind of really enjoy? So we're going to talk through those things. If you like the grit, we're going to start talking about metal filters. We have a lot of options for metal filters. We're going to maybe look at mocha pots. We're going to look at metal filter. We have the Fin brewer, sort of the Vietnamese coffee maker. If they like it clean, let's start talking about paper or cloth filters. The other question I'm going to start to ask is, how much time do you want to spend making your coffee? When you stumble down the stairs in the morning before you've had any coffee, and then you're shocked that you stumbled downstairs because you live in a one-story house, you can't expect yourself to do anything too involved for your coffee. Are you looking for an automatic coffee maker like the Bonavita? Are you looking for something that that's going to make a large volume? Are you the only coffee drinker? I'm the only coffee drinker in the house, so I make my cups one at a time, and that's kind of why I have all these things. So those are some pretty significant decision makers. If you go to our website, if you go to batdorfcoffee.com and you click on our brewer links, you're not going to see all of these things. You're going to see maybe a V60. You're going to see the AeroPress. You're going to see the Chemex. You're going to see the Bonavita. Things you're not going to see, you're not going to see a bee house dripper. Instead of the bee house, you're going to see the plastic Melita cone. You're not going to see the Kalita Wave. You're not going to see a mocha pot. Do you not see those things because they're bad brewers? No, you don't see them just because we're offering things that we know are going to brew well. We can't carry everything that's on the market. What we can do is we can also offer a wide variety of delicious coffees, covering a large spectrum of flavor preferences. So let's talk about why we have so much stuff on my counter and then again in the coffee market. I get sent every now and again some new things to try out, and the criteria I'm looking at is, can I use this consistently to make a good cup of coffee? And is this a necessary item? And or is this a ripoff of somebody else? I'm not a big fan of taking somebody else's creation, changing it up a little bit, and calling it your own. So, the Chemex Brewer, patented 1941, released by Dr. Peter Schlumbaum out there in Manhattan. Fantastic, it's beautiful, it's great. Then there's this thing. I've never used this. This is the first time in a long time taking it out of a box. I don't even know I have it in the house still. It's, in my book, completely unnecessary. It has a metal filter, yes, but it's a direct ripoff of the Chemex shape. They're just trying to capitalize on somebody else's work. If you want to have a metal filter for your Chemex, you can get those. I recommend the Able Cone, cone spelled with a K. It's made in the USA, surgical stainless steel, brilliant brewer, fits your Chemex, and it's great. So whatever this is, I don't like it. You can put a Chemex paper filter in it and do that. You can use their metal filter that came with it. If it's what you have, fine, great, do it. But I'm not going to go out and find that to spend money on it. Then we have this little fella right here. This is the Funex from Chemex. I'm okay with this because it's their own shape. It's a Chemex item. They're not trying to capitalize off of somebody else's general design. What they are doing is they're saying, hey, we don't have a mug top brewer. It's cool. I like it. Let's see. Kalita Wave. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. It's good. My complaint about the Kalita Wave is that you have to use their special filters. They're a little more expensive, harder to find, but I have one and I use it, so okay. The Mocha Pot. This is the type of thing, the Mocha Pot, the French press, these brewers have such a long history that nobody really owns the design anymore. They're part of the public domain, right? So you're going to see a lot of companies that are making Mocha Pots and French presses. I happen to be incredibly partial, if I'm going to make a French press, to the Bodum. I like the Bodum Chambard. We have that on our website. We also have the Brazil. The Chambard is the one that has all the shiny chrome. It just looks a little more elegant to me. I'm just kind of a sucker for that one. But, you know, you're going to see a lot of French presses. What you want to look for with the French press is you want to have a real quality build. I try to avoid things that have... this is glass, and I like a glass container. This is an old Hario. Never been used, by the way. Full metal construction in here. So we have the metal plunger, which screws into a metal grommet in there. So you want to find that quality construction because when you're using these regularly, they're just going to wear out. So we have the Chambard and the Brazil both on our website. I like them both. I prefer the Chambard over the Brazil, but one is $20 and the other is $41. So you can save 10% with code WATCHANDLEARN10. And if you're gonna buy a French press, you might as well order a bag of dancing goats because you also then get a 25% discount on that. All right, let's keep moving through here. This is the Bon Mac. This is not much different than the other mug top brewers. It just has one little hole in the middle, whereas some of the Melitas have more or less. Well, not less. You can't have less than one hole. And this one happens to have a gold cone filter in it. So if you like a little bit of silt and chew on your coffee, let's go with that. All right, a couple more things, and we're going to move on to do something fun. Percolator. This was a common way to make coffee back before Mr. Coffee was invented in the 70s. The percolator, if you've ever gone to a church function, you've seen these in the lobby. They come in much bigger sizes. It's not good coffee, but there's some good emotionally evocative elements to this. There's some good memories with the bad tasting coffee of a percolator. The thing that a percolator does, sometimes people will compare these two, incredibly different. With the mocha pot, our hot water comes from the bottom, it comes through the coffee, and then is isolated in the top. With the percolator, our hot water comes up into the coffee, brews coffee, then that coffee drips back down and is reheated, and you're circulating brewed coffee through coffee grounds. That becomes problematic in terms of deliciousness. I do have a friend, I don't know how she does it, but she makes an amazing percolator. It's actually maybe kind of good. Now, I don't want to dog on like innovation and new brewers. It's real easy for me just to throw out, funky brewers that just kind of look kind of weird. But if I did that, I never would have hung out with the AeroPress. If we're honest, this is a funny little weird thing. It's like it looks kind of gimmicky. But when this hit the market in 2005, there was nothing else like it. This was arguably the only major innovation in coffee since the FEMA E61 espresso machine in 1961. Then maybe the Mr. Coffee Brewer after that for automated brewing. Everything else is just hot water filtration. AeroPress was different, but incredibly easy. It would have been incredibly easy to write this off as just a gimmick. And then where would we be left? It'd be a sad, sad world. So I'm going to look at now, well, then there's this little fellow, the AeroPress Go. If you know it, I think you like it. If you don't know it, it's cool. This is the AeroPress they should have made the first time around. Just a tidy little package, a little bit smaller. Anyway, we carry the traditional AeroPress on our website, which is great. If you didn't know, I love and adore the AeroPress and the coffee that comes through it. Before I move on to playing with our funky brewer, I'm just going to take a glance at the comments and see that I don't have anything I need to catch up on. Thank you, Ren. How old is this Bona Vita brewer? He's asking. It's not very old. They just don't make the white ones anymore. Stormtrooper model is what we like to call it. It was just a short run, limited edition type of thing. Because I'm a nerd. Cool. All right. Josh saying, well, 0 is less than 1, I suppose, but it wouldn't have a hole in it. And he mentions the astute observer would notice that my collection is void of the clever dripper for no good reason. I don't own a clever. I need to get a clever. It's a brilliant brewer. Incredibly affordable, versatile, simple to use. I have no excuses. Ren says that the percolator can make fabulous coffee. Absolutely. I just take umbrage with recirculating coffee through coffee grounds on principle. Definitely don't let it run too long, and watch your grind size for sure. All right. Lots of people saying hi. Hey, everybody, it's good to see everybody. All right, so we've kind of cleared some space here now. I've got this weird little thing that I picked up, inherited. I've never used it. It has a stand with an adjustable, there we go, adjustable height on it, so you can shrink it down. So I can brew a tiny little cup, or we can bring it up into a middle-sized cup. If that, you know, let's go a little more, because I've never used this before. Or we can bring it all the way up and really fit it under their piece of cake. Now, something that I like about this, at first look, let's be positive first. In the brew chamber, if you look at the bottom, there's this little switch, and when I switch that, it opens that hole and it allows the drain. It's the same principle as the Clever Dripper, where it creates a watertight brew area where we then can control the release and when the water can start dripping through, or the coffee beverage can start leaving the grounds. I've never used this, first of all, because I've never had to. Secondly, the brew chamber itself is super tiny. Normally, I'm using 19 grams coffee to make my diner mug. I couldn't fit 19 grams coffee into here. So, but this is what we do when I get something new. This is how I test it. This is what this is some of the stuff I run through. I'm gonna grab a filter that might fit in this. I can fit this in there well enough. Great, okay. So bonus points, it holds a standard number 4 Molita style filter. I give this +2 points because I can find these filters anywhere. They're high quality and they're inexpensive. All right, I'm gonna go and put my cup under there, and I'm gonna start with the drain hole open. My water, I heated it really hot, so it's still nice and hot. Always give a little rinse. That's a nice little messy rinse there. So I would make a note here. The filter sticking over the top, just kind of trim it down before I do that. Or you can leave them up to prevent grounds from overflowing. All right, I'm gonna take my rinse water, pour that out. All right, now I'm gonna go and take my scale. I'm gonna employ that for this measure. I went ahead and ground up some coffee. I'm using the Colombia Las Brisas because I'm in love with it. If I was using this as a straight drip through where I add water and let it drip directly through, I would go ahead and put in the 19 grams and just continually add water and keep it going. But I want to utilize that little switch. So I cut my coffee down to 10 grams. Just kind of guessed that that might work. My grind size is a medium drip, a little more coarse than what I would normally use in a drip brewer. A lot more aligned with what I'd use on the Clever, because I'm going to use this like a Clever, where I can close the switch and let it do some full immersion. Tear out my weight, got my timer, and then we're going to add some water. Now, this is just a philosophical preference. Full immersion, there's no need in my book to bloom this. If you like blooming full immersion, go for it. The bloom is designed to get you past some of the challenges that happen when the water just floods right through. Let that just sit. We're gonna let this brew for a little while. All right. We need that a little steep. I'm gonna go in. I have 115 grams in here. Just gonna give it a little bit more. If I did 10 grams in, multiply that by 17 or 15 thereabouts, I want to hit at least 150 grams for my steep. I'm pushing up the edge, the edge of that, so I don't want to go too aggressive here. All right, so something I'm seeing, I have my switch closed, but there's some coffee dripping through, so the switch isn't particularly hardy. It doesn't seal very well. -2 points. If you notice, I'm picking on a coffee brewer that doesn't exist on the market anymore. So you got to be nice, you know, most of the time. All right, so we have about 150 grams of water in there. I'm just going to take that off my scale, set that aside. I'm going to let that steep for another minute or so. I want to show you this other fun brewer just because we can. So this is I travel with an AeroPress. One stays in my car all the time because it's super helpful. But then I have this other thing, the Kalita company. I love it. It's just a cardboard little frame. You can pop the filter down. You fold this down. I'm not going to crease it because I want to save it. But this then sits on top of your mug, and it gives you a mobile pour over. It's finicky. It's not real easy. It's more for the novelty of using it. But there are so many ways to make coffee. I knew a guy one time who he competed in the Brewers Cup using that. If y'all know Andrew McCaslin out there, respect for that. Yeah, he did all right. It's not a really easy brewer to use. I'm gonna give that another moment here, and then I want to, since we're talking about emergency coffee on the go, still a big fan of our steeped coffee sachets. It works like a tea bag. If you know how to make tea, you can make these. Heat your water, dunk it in, let it sit and steep. They're great. Fantastic for travel, for convenience, for emergencies, all that good stuff. All right. Our coffee has now sat and steeped for 3.5 minutes because I'm long-winded. I'm just going to flip this switch and let that drain. So this works on the same principle as the Clever. It's a sit, steep, release type brewer. Really like those. Initial thoughts, well, again, having never used this because it's funky looking. I saved it for this, just for this occasion today. Let that drip through. My biggest complaint about it, super small batch size. This will make a whole pot on the Bonavita. This will make you 1 cup of coffee. This will make you half a cup of coffee. So if you are only a half coffee drinker in your house, let's do it, right? It's a good bean, Las Brisas. It comes out good. I have no complaints about the flavor that comes from this little brewer. My gripe with it is the size, the design. Let's be honest, aesthetic comes into play, even though I'm just out here in the workshop. Anyway, the takeaway from this, is don't worry about what everybody else is doing to make their coffee. Find something you like, try to make it repeatable, and do it. If you like playing around, if you want your workshop, your garage, your kitchen counter to look like mine, bless your heart, do it. But the takeaway is make a good cup of coffee. Make one that you like. We have, at any given moment, 25, 30 different coffees, single origins and blends available. So we have quite a range of coffees. You know, little bit of something for everybody. Baskin Robbins, ice cream shops, they offer more than just 1 or 2 flavors. Unpopular opinion here, I hate chocolate ice cream. Rocky Road is one of the greatest abominations that you can put into a freezer. Fight me on it. Nuts don't belong in ice cream. Marshmallows even less. There we go. All right. Brennan's asking, what's my favorite brewer that I don't use very often? After, it's a very good question. I probably would have to say that this little fella, after using it again the other day, was surprisingly nice. I might go back and revisit that now and again. For no good reason, I never use the V60. We talk about the V60 compared to the Melita as this is a Toyota Corolla. It's going to get you there every time, and this is more like a finely tuned Porsche, maybe a 959 or something. You can do amazing things with it. You don't have to know how to use it, but at the same time, it'll still get you there. I don't use my V60 much. It actually collects more dust up on the hanging rack. That's the thing. All right. Let's see. Lots of other questions here. Ren, Rocky Road is his favorite ice cream. So there we go. I like Ren. Ren's a good dude. Respect a lot about him. I will share ice cream with you. You can have your Rocky Road. I'll have something else. All right. Lots of other comments in here. Just kind of catching up. Yeah, espresso machine, same thing. Espresso machines, if you do home espresso, you have to love the process, and you have to commit to keeping it clean and maintained. That's one of the things I love about this is it doesn't take a lot of maintenance. I give it a rinse, and about once a month or so I give it a good scrub. All right. Thank you everybody for joining me. This has been a half-an-hour video. I try to keep them short. A lot of brewers in the world. Go out, try something fun. Try lots of new coffees. We've got a lot of good fun things. There you go. Go out, try to do some good in the world this week. Whether that's out in the world or out in the world from home. We could sure use it. It's good to see everybody. Happy Monday.